Imagine a moment. You stand before her, not close enough for any physical contact. No words have been exchanged, just presence. And yet you can feel it. A subtle shift in the air, an almost imperceptible pull. Her eyes linger on yours, perhaps a fraction of a second too long. She might adjust her hair, a nervous or self-conscious gesture, or shift her weight, her breathing subtly altering. Something deep within her is being drawn towards you, a magnetic force she can't quite name, a stir she doesn't even consciously understand. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck. This is power. The profound, undeniable power of masculine sexual tension. It's an energy that doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to perform, doesn't need to chase. It commands, it pulls, it seduces, without ever laying a single finger upon her. Most men mistakenly believe that seduction begins with words, the perfect opening line, a clever compliment, or with physical action, a calculated touch of the hand, a bold escalation. They imagine it starts with a move, a technique, something external. But the profound truth is, seduction begins long, long before any of that. It originates within you, in your energy, in your internal world. The true seducer, as some masters have taught, does not chase. He magnetizes. And one of the most potent magnets isn't your hand, isn't your meticulously chosen words, it's the energy you radiate without touching her at all. His mentor called it building mystery. Others have termed it creating a vacuum, or simply being a high-value presence. But let's delve even deeper into this. Desire is not fundamentally created by what you give or what you do physically. It is created by what you withhold. Ponder that for a moment. What you withhold. The vast majority of men are in an incessant rush. A rush to make a move, to escalate, to become physical. And that rush, that impatience, inevitably kills the very suspense that is the lifeblood of attraction. It's akin to flipping to the final page of an enthralling novel before you've experienced the journey. You obliterate the mystery, you preempt the natural unfolding of the story. And women, by their very nature, thrive on mystery. They yearn to feel their own desire burgeon slowly, organically, like a blossoming flower. They crave that rising tension, that exquisite anticipation, that delicious uncertainty that imbues every glance, every shared silence, with an electric charge. And here lies a truth that precious few men ever truly grasp. The longer you can build that tension, that charged atmosphere, without prematurely breaking it, the exponentially stronger the attraction becomes. Touch in this paradigm is a release. But before the release, there must be the build-up. And it is in that potent build-up, that sustained, unspoken promise, where her truest, deepest desire is born. This isn't some vague, ephemeral spiritual concept. This is a tangible skill, an art form that, like any other, can be honed and mastered through intentional practice. The first key, the foundational pillar, is eye contact. I'm not referring to casual, fleeting glances, the kind that dart away nervously or self-consciously. I mean deep, unapologetic, anchored eye contact, the kind that doesn't flinch, the kind that holds space, that communicates volumes without uttering a single syllable. When you lock eyes with a woman and you do not look away, you are conveying something primal, ancient and powerful. You are saying in an unspoken language, I see you. I'm not afraid of your beauty. I'm not desperate to impress you. I am right here, fully present, and I want you to feel me. But it extends beyond mere duration. What truly matters is how you look at her. If your gaze is needy, if you are implicitly seeking validation, if you are secretly hoping she smiles back to reassure your own ego, you have already lost the essence of the connection. That isn't seductive, that's approval-seeking, and she, with her finely tuned intuition, can sense it. Real magnetic eye contact emanates from a place of profound inner certainty, a calm, unwavering masculine presence that silently declares, I don't need anything from you. But if you come closer, if you dare to step into this space, you will feel something you have never felt before. Hold that gaze, not with a raw, aggressive intensity, but with depth, with stillness, with a quiet, observant curiosity. Allow your eyes to whisper, I know something you don't, and I invite you to wonder what that might be. That, my friend, is precisely where the heat begins to rise. Now combine that potent gaze with the second essential ingredient, voice control. Even if you are speaking very little, the tone, the rhythm, the cadence of your voice holds immense sway. Consciously lower your tone, slow your pace, resist the urge to rush your words. Women, you must understand, are far more exquisitely sensitive to vocal tonality than men. A slow, grounded, resonant, masculine voice speaks directly to her unconscious mind. It bypasses her logical defenses and communicates on a primal level that you are confident, that you are in control, and most importantly, that you are deeply present. Remember this profound truth: presence is arousal. When you are fully present with a woman, when your attention is not scattered, when your mind isn't preoccupied with overthinking or trying too hard to impress, she feels it. She senses that undivided attention, that focused energy, and it draws her in like an irresistible current. Think of the archetypal suave figures, the James Bonds of the world. He doesn't speak quickly. He doesn't fidget nervously. He doesn't feel compelled to fill every silence with empty chatter. No, he owns the silence. He is composed, deliberate, and intentional in every word and every pause. And it is in that stillness, that composed presence, that women begin to project their own fantasies onto him. They start wondering what he's thinking. They begin trying to decode his enigmatic vibe. That, precisely, is how desire builds, not just in her body, but, crucially, in her mind. Here's a secret that fundamentally alters your understanding of attraction. Women are not aroused in the same immediate, visual, stimulus-driven way that men often are. We, as men, can often be immediately stimulated by visual cues. But women, they are narrative creatures. They need a story. They want to imagine, to build, to dream. So, when you deliberately don't touch her, when you simply look and pause and speak with quiet intention, you are giving her an invaluable gift. The gift of fantasy. And that, my friend, is 10 times more powerful, 10 times more enduring than rushing into physical escalation too soon. Let's go even deeper. There's a profound concept known as sexual containment. As explored by various authors on the masculine path, a man who can keenly feel his sexual energy, who is fully aware of his own desire, but who does not feel the compulsive need to act on it immediately, is deeply, profoundly magnetic to women. Why? Because it demonstrates immense power, unwavering self-control, and an underlying depth that is incredibly rare. Imagine this scenario. You are sitting across from her. You feel the pull. You feel the raw, undeniable stir of desire within you. But instead of reaching out, instead of making an impulsive move, you sit with it. You breathe. You allow her to sense, subtly, that you are turned on, that there is an electric charge in the air, but you do not break. You do not chase. You do not react with uncontrolled impulsivity. That sustained state creates an exquisite erotic charge, a suspense so potent that it can drive her absolutely wild. Because now, she isn't just attracted, she is intensely curious. She begins to wonder, what is he waiting for? Why isn't he trying anything? Why does he look at me like that and do nothing? That, my friend, is the razor's edge, where true, unforgettable seduction lives. And most men never reach that edge because they move too quickly. They cannot hold the tension. They cannot sit in that internal fire. But you, if you master this art of containment, you will become truly unforgettable. Let's break this down into even more tactical, actionable steps. When you are conversing with her, master the use of pauses. Do not feel compelled to fill every single space with words. A truly confident man is not afraid of silence. In fact, silence can become your most powerful weapon. It subtly forces her to lean in, to wait, to anticipate your next word or gesture. When you do speak, allow your words to land with weight and meaning. Do not chase her reaction. Do not look for external approval. Make statements, not questions that seek validation, not rambling narratives, but confident, grounded, clear statements. And when you are physically near her, use proximity sparingly, strategically. Do not invade her space indiscriminately. Get close, then subtly pull back. Allow her to feel the shift, to notice that you are in control, not just of the physical space between you, but of yourself, of your own impulses. This is the essence of what is often called push-pull. Give her something, your focused presence, a penetrating glance, a moment of deep connection, then gently take it away. Look away, shift your focus momentarily, allow her to miss your gaze, to feel that subtle loss. That, ironically, is how you activate her pursuit. That is how you subtly flip the dynamic, transforming her from the object of your chase to the initiator of her own intrigue. Remember, you are not primarily trying to seduce her body. You are seducing her imagination. And once you enter that fertile territory, once she begins to play scenarios in her mind, once she starts wondering what it would truly be like to be touched by you, then the actual physical act of touching her often becomes almost secondary, if not entirely unnecessary. Because she's already fantasizing, she's already feeling. And that, my friend, is the undeniable mark of a true seducer. There is a moment, often subtle, almost imperceptible, when a woman begins to feel something she cannot quite name. It doesn't originate from your touch. It doesn't come from your words. It emanates from how you are, the way you walk into a room, the way you effortlessly occupy space, the way you strategically withhold attention, not out of arrogance, but out of deliberate, focused intent. Most men tragically misunderstand this. They mistakenly believe that creating desire is about constantly showcasing interest, showering her with compliments, laughing at every one of her jokes, giving her an incessant 100% of their attention, like an eager golden retriever desperate for a pat on the head. But the truth is, that constant flood of attention, that overwhelming availability, flattens the mystery. It saturates her system. If she feels like she already completely has you, there is nothing left to desire, nothing to earn, nothing to wonder about. The profound key is to create gaps. Gaps in certainty, gaps in attention, gaps in emotional availability. This is not about playing manipulative games. It is about deliberately creating space, a vacuum, for her attraction to organically grow. It's a psychological principle that has been observed and utilized for centuries. As one astute observer noted, strategic absence inflames desire, that people long most for what they don't fully possess. Seduction, in its purest form, isn't about filling her up until she's overflowing. It's about leaving her wanting more. So, how does this manifest in practical terms? When you are with her, you are fully present, engaged. But you are not always predictable. You are deeply engaged, but you are not emotionally naked, not spilling your entire inner world at once. You give, but you do not spill everything. You offer tantalizing glimpses, just enough to hook her imagination and draw her further into your orbit. Let her work a little. Let her feel like she has to earn your deeper layers to uncover more of you. That, precisely, is what builds profound fascination. Now, here's an incredibly powerful technique that most men completely ignore. Non-reactivity. Women, consciously or unconsciously, will test you. They want to gauge if you are truly grounded, if you are easily shaken, if your energy and sense of self shifts based on their actions or responses. Let's say she suddenly pulls back, or she throws out a teasing, slightly challenging comment, or perhaps, in a more extreme scenario, she flirts with someone else in front of you. An average man, one who is not grounded in his own power, will react. He'll become insecure, defensive, perhaps try to overcompensate or prove himself, desperately attempting to regain her attention. But the man who understands the true essence of seduction, the man who embodies this invisible power, he remains calm, composed. Perhaps he offers a slight, knowing smile. Maybe he says nothing at all. Or perhaps he simply shifts his attention elsewhere, without resentment, without neediness, without a trace of insecurity. He doesn't play her game because he doesn't need to. And that, my friend, drives her wild. Why? Because it powerfully signals status. It communicates on a subconscious level that your sense of self, your value, is not tied to her approval. It shows that you are internally validated, that you are a man who lives in his own reality, and she, if she wishes to enter it, has to qualify herself. This is precisely where invisible seduction truly takes root. She begins thinking about you when you're not around, wondering what you're doing, why you didn't chase, why you seem so utterly unaffected. That kind of mystery, that quiet strength, is intoxicating, because now she's doing the imagining. And in her imagination, anything is possible. That is where her desire resides, no longer in your hands, but burning fiercely in her own mind. Another critical dimension we must explore is body language. Your posture, your gestures, your stillness, they all broadcast powerful signals long before you ever utter a word. The true seducer doesn't fidget nervously. He doesn't shrink himself. He doesn't twitch or become agitated when her gaze meets his. Instead, he is relaxed, upright, his frame broad and open. His movements are slow, deliberate, intentional. He touches his glass with unhurried confidence. He leans back at ease, exuding a quiet power. He maintains an open, inviting posture. When a woman observes a man who is completely at ease in his own skin, utterly comfortable in his presence, it activates something primal within her. It signals not only safety but also a subtle, intriguing kind of danger. Not the danger of threat, but the delicious danger that quickens her pulse because he is unpredictable. He is composed, yes, but beneath that controlled intensity, she can feel a quiet fire, a potent, contained energy. Contained. That controlled intensity is the very essence of sexual polarity. Because let's be utterly real, seduction isn't merely about charm or witty banter, it's fundamentally about contrast. Masculine energy is inherently directional, focused, penetrating. Feminine energy, by its nature, is expressive, fluid, receptive. When you anchor yourself firmly in your masculine core, calm, firm, unshakable, it naturally pulls her into her feminine essence. She softens, she surrenders, and she begins to feel safe desiring you. Not because you articulated the perfect words, not because you touched her in a specific way, but because your unyielding, grounded energy gave her the unspoken permission to open, to feel, to dream. Let's take this further. There's something most men completely overlook: energetic tension. When you are genuinely connected to your own sexuality, not in a creepy or performative way, but in a deeply grounded, embodied way, she feels it. She senses it, even from across a crowded room. Your energy speaks volumes before you ever speak. Women are exquisitely attuned to this. They can instantly tell if you are needy or anxious or merely pretending to be something you're not. And, crucially, they can also discern when your sexual energy is contained, potent, and deeply rooted in your presence. Here's how you cultivate that: through profound self-awareness, through intentional breath, and through the art of restraint. When you are with her, instead of immediately trying to jump into action, feel your arousal and simply sit with it. Breathe into it. Allow your body to relax. Let that energy build, expand within you. Do not suppress it, for suppression creates rigidity and fear. Do not immediately act on it, for that dissipates the tension. Just be with it. Allow it to exist, contained and potent. That, precisely, creates a kind of palpable magnetic field around you. You won't need to initiate anything overtly, because she's picking up the signal. And when your arousal is clean, not desperate, not performative, but deeply centered, she will inexplicably start to feel turned on, without even truly understanding why. That is the edge. That is what makes her think about you later, when she's alone, when she's in bed, when she's idly scrolling through her phone, wondering why your eyes, your smile, your quiet presence keeps flashing back into her mind. You didn't touch her. You didn't push anything. But your energy, your contained fire, left an indelible mark. And now, she wants more. This isn't manipulation. This is mastery. Mastery of your own presence. Mastery of your intention. Mastery of building tension. And most importantly, it is the mastery of not rushing the sacred moment. Because the most seductive men intuitively understand that it's not about what you do to her. It's about what she begins to feel in your presence, what you allow her to feel, and, crucially, what you don't force. So, instead of desperately trying to impress her, create a captivating space. Instead of rushing to touch her body, touch her attention, hold it captive. Instead of chasing validation, stand perfectly still and allow her to come to you. And the moment she does, She won't even realize that she, in her own subtle way, made the first move. There is a profound reason why some men walk into a room and women instinctively turn their heads, their gaze drawn, before a single word is spoken, before any direct interaction even begins. It's not primarily about looks. It's not about money. It's not even about status in the conventional overt sense. It is about the feeling they carry inside, the aura they project, the silent confidence that whispers, without a hint of arrogance, "I don't chase, I attract." This brings us to a frequently forgotten yet foundational element in true seduction: emotional self-sufficiency. When a man is emotionally full, when he doesn't need anything from her to feel like a complete man, that profound independence radiates outward. It speaks directly to her subconscious. It tells her, on a visceral level, this man is whole. He is not asking me to complete him. He is not trying to fill some internal void within himself. He is already complete, already abundant. And that, in a world full of needy, approval-seeking individuals, is extraordinarily rare and incredibly attractive. Why does this matter so deeply? Because women are instinctively drawn to what feels solid, what feels grounded. Not hard or rigid, but firmly rooted, self-contained. If she senses, even subtly, that you are seeking validation, if she perceives that your inherent value depends on how she responds to you, you instantly become less desirable, less intriguing. But when she feels that your value, your worth, is non-negotiable, something profound begins to shift within her. She starts investing. Her curiosity blossoms. She begins scanning you for deeper layers, for more to discover, precisely because you haven't laid everything out for her to consume immediately. And in that rich curiosity, deep attraction blooms. Another potent dimension to cultivating desire without touch is the unparalleled power of suggestion. A master seducer doesn't feel the need to say everything explicitly. Instead, he implies. He hints. He drops intriguing fragments that activate her imagination and allows her mind to do the rest, to fill in the blanks, to weave her own narrative. Let's be honest with ourselves. What transpires in her imagination, the vivid scenarios her mind constructs, will always be more compelling, more vivid, and more perfectly tailored to her unique desires than anything you could ever engineer with your hands or with overt actions. That's why carefully cultivated mystery consistently triumphs over overexposure. That's why subtle innuendo consistently beats explicit explanation. So, the next time you're interacting with her, instead of overtly telling her what you might want to do or how you feel, describe something that stirs her mind. Paint a picture of a scenario, evoke a memory, use a metaphor that is sensual, evocative, but deliberately ambiguous. You might say something like, "There's something about the silence between two people, when it's just right, that makes everything else feel so much louder, so much more intense." Or, "I appreciate it when someone doesn't rush things, when moments unfold naturally, but you can feel that delicious tension humming just beneath the surface." You are not describing a specific act, you're describing a profound feeling. And the exquisite beauty of this approach is that her mind, her subconscious, will fill in those blanks with her ideal version of that feeling. And what she imagines will always be more perfectly tailored to her deepest desires than anything you could possibly orchestrate. That, my friend, is seduction through mental stimulation, and it is far, far more powerful than most men will ever realize. Now let's discuss the subtle but crucial aspect of the timing of energy. You see, women operate on deeply ingrained emotional rhythms. If you are too available, too overtly interested, too accessible too early in the interaction, you create saturation. You burn out the vital spark of mystery. But conversely, if you are always distant, always unavailable, you risk creating frustration or, even worse, disinterest. The profound secret, the exquisite art, is to oscillate. Give her a concentrated moment of closeness, a brief, potent connection where you are fully present and deeply engaged. Then, subtly, artfully, pull back. Let her sit with that connection. Let her hunger for your presence grow in your absence. Then return, re-engage. Offer another small, potent dose of your depth, your presence, your focus. and then step away again. This rhythmic dance, this ebb and flow, perfectly mimics the natural push and pull of desire itself. It mirrors the way tension gradually rises in compelling stories, in beautiful music, in the very unfolding of life itself. And when executed with skill and genuine intent, it creates a subtle, almost imperceptible emotional addiction. Because now she starts to genuinely crave the next wave of your presence. She doesn't even consciously realize it, but she's subtly waiting for your energy to return, for that next dose of connection. That truly is how you get into her system, not through constant overwhelming effort, but through calculated, precise impact. Quality over quantity, precision over volume. And this isn't about playing manipulative games, it's about leading the dance, guiding the emotional rhythm of the interaction with a masterful hand. Let's dive into an often overlooked yet incredibly potent layer, your internal erotic world. Most men, frankly, outsource their desire. They rely heavily on external stimulation, visual cues, pornography, or fantasies that are entirely reactionary, dependent on external triggers. But the truly seductive man possesses a rich, vibrant, and highly cultivated internal erotic landscape. He doesn't passively wait for arousal to strike. He actively cultivates it within himself. He knows how to feel deeply turned on, how to access that potent life force without needing to immediately act it out, without needing an external release. He can sit in that desire, breathe through it, allow it to charge his entire being without rushing to dissipate it. This inner fire, this contained potency, becomes an almost palpable field around him. Women feel it, especially those who are emotionally and sexually attuned. They sense that he is deeply connected to his body, his breath, his instincts, and yet he is in complete command of them. And that, my friend, is insanely attractive. It communicates on a profound level, this man can hold intensity. He will not fold under pressure. He knows what he wants, but he doesn't need it from me or from anyone else. That level of erotic self-possession, that contained power, is an incredibly rare quality. And it doesn't require touching her. It simply requires being deeply, profoundly in touch with yourself. And speaking of touch, here's something even more advanced. A truly masterful level of connection. Touch without actually touching. There's a fascinating phenomenon in psychology called mirror neurons. When an individual feels intensely connected to another person, their brain actually begins to simulate the experiences of that other person. This is precisely why, when you describe a sensation vividly, with rich detail and genuine embodiment, someone listening might actually begin to feel that sensation in their own body. So, if you are able to speak from a place of embodied sensuality, if your words are rich with sensory description, if your gaze carries the palpable heat of unspoken thoughts and desires, her brain starts to simulate the experience of being touched by you. She might experience goosebumps rippling across her skin. Her breathing might subtly change, becoming shallower or deeper. Her skin may flush, a slight blush rising to her cheeks. And you, my friend, haven't moved an inch. You haven't laid a finger on her. That is the real edge. That is how the deepest, most profound seducers truly work. Not by doing more, but by being more. By channeling an experience, an energy that she begins to live from the inside out. And when that occurs, the physical body becomes secondary. The desire is already firmly anchored in her mind, her emotions, her nervous system. She is already yours in a very real, very profound sense, and you haven't even touched her. And here is the ultimate truth, brother. You don't need to touch her body to make her crave yours. When you truly learn to command your presence, when you consciously build tension instead of releasing it prematurely, when you lead with a calm, powerful stillness, when you radiate desire without chasing it, everything shifts. Suddenly you are no longer just another man desperately trying to win her over. You become the man she simply cannot stop thinking about. And that, my friend, is the monumental shift. That is the precise moment you cease to be merely another face in the crowd and begin to transform into an unforgettable experience, a lingering memory, a potent presence that stays with her long after the night has ended. Because in the final analysis, physical touch in its raw immediacy eventually fades. But what she imagines when you deliberately don't touch her, That, my friend, stays. That is the lingering essence. So the next time you find yourself in the presence of a woman, remember this profound wisdom. Your most powerful tool is not your hands. It is your silence. It is your stillness. It is the palpable, contained tension you create. It is your unwavering mystery. Let her feel the potent fire you have mastered within yourself, without burning her with it too soon. Allow her to step into your orbit, to be drawn in by the magnetic field of your cultivated presence. Because in this mastery, in this deliberate cultivation of internal power, lies a kind of influence that most men will never access. You don't need to touch her to seduce her. You just need to learn how to move her, profoundly and irrevocably, without ever physically moving. And once you do, she won't want to be anywhere else but in your captivating orbit.